measure, so.
You probably just did, this is something, you know.
His hands to be.
But this is the first time I've popped up with the thing that you give us just to touch. This is the first time it's done, it would go to, before I had to go to the district site to get it.
Good evening and welcome to the August 15th regular call board meeting, Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees. The notification, the public notification of the meeting was appropriate, as we all saw, and there is a quorum with 6 members present at this point. I will entertain a motion to enter executive session. During that time, we will be discussing personnel, legal matters, as well as hearing a student appeal. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, make a motion we go into executive session to discuss legal, personnel, and student appeal matter.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. We will exit to executive session and return no later than 6:30. Thank you.
Yeah. It's right here. I'm going to go a few HR items, and then as soon as I go to HR, I'll come and bring you the door out to you. All right.
Here's what you want to say, Mr. Gator. You can get the mic over there. Check that over yet.
Motion to exit executive session. During executive session, we heard a student appeal and had discussion on personnel matters. There was no action taken.
Madam Chair, I move that we exit executive session.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. 6-0. Thank you. We'll move forward to the welcome pledge of allegiance and moment of silence.
I'll stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all, remain standing for a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you.
Nice skipped over that. Welcome, I apologize. Welcome. Once again to the August 15th regular call board meeting, the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees. This is our last meeting at the district office for the next 4 months. So we will make sure to remind everyone where we will be from now on.
So next one will be Madam Chair, where?
We'll get to it when we get Fairfield Elementary. The next item is the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Fred. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Question or discussion on that? Hearing none, those in favor of the agenda as presented, please signify by raising the right hand. 6-0, Ms. Brown, thank you. Public comment.
Madam Chair, I've received no public comment for this evening.
Is Dr. Mason well?
Yeah.
She went to the family union.
Okay, just checking. Just, anybody see her, just tell her we asked about her. Oh, we asked right here. Okay. It's already up here. All right, the next, we're skipping presentations and recognition. It's been a long, hot summer, so everybody's getting recognized. We'll move on to the student hearing appeal that we heard during the executive session. Entertain a motion. Hearing none, there is no action that will be taken. There is no motion or second, so there will be no action taken on the appeal, so the placement will stand. Thank you. We'll move on to the board minutes.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the board minutes from the July 18th, 2017 meeting.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Any comments? Is there a correction sheet that anyone needs to present to Ms. Brown at this time? Hearing none, the recommendation, the motion is that the board approve the minutes from the July 18th regular called meeting. All those in favor signify by raising the right hand. Opposition, 1. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to put on the record that I'm voting against it. That I think they were better at answering some of the questions that were asked, but they weren't all there. So that's why I voted against it. Thank you.
Did you turn in a correction sheet?
No.
Okay. If you'll turn in a correction sheet, I think we would probably be better served so that we can get those ideas that are in your head onto paper. That way we'll know for sure. Okay? Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as you recall, last meeting we talked about the renovation, the addition at Fairfield Middle School. We're very excited that the project has been moving forward as planned. We're at a point where hopefully we can go over after the meeting and take a look at the addition. Even though we aren't totally complete, our goal is to be at least pretty close to being done by the time the kids return on Tuesday. We hope to be at a point by the end of the day where teachers can move their things and rooms on tomorrow. And so they are still diligently working, but I encourage you to go with me as soon as we leave here so you can take a look at the addition. It is very nice. Also, I want to take that opportunity to give you a brief tour of the facility that we are leaving, which are the portables in the rear of the school, and also give you an opportunity to see our field house, which is down by the tennis court, down by the football field, in case there are any questions about how urgent our need is to replace these facilities. So I promise you I won't keep you long, just long enough to tour the new facility and tour the old facility. You know, it's ironic, I was at the middle school football practice on yesterday. I went to a tennis match, and then I left the tennis match and went to a middle school football practice. And a community member stopped me because I walked from the tennis court down to the football practice, and a community member stopped me to tell me, he said, "Superintendent, it is absolutely shameful that we have our visiting teams and our home team to even go into those facilities that we call field houses." And I said, ironically, we are in the process of replacing that. So I appreciate your opinions there, and we agree with you, and therefore we are moving forward to put our young people in a more appropriate facility. So I kind of saw that as validation that the board is moving in the right direction when I can have community members stop me to say this needs to be done. So hopefully we can get out of here in a timely fashion, and then we can make our way on to the middle school.
Madam Chair, I have an opportunity to tour the high school, and I had made reference last time to that we need to maintain our buildings, but the high school, apparently, do we still have a problem with, there's at least 2 to 3 leaks? Is that from air conditioner or is that from roof?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what leak you're referring to. I think the day that you were there, we had a problem with a leak in the air conditioner. But as you can imagine, that's the unit I think you're referring to is a brand new unit. But you can have overflow pans to begin the leak. You can have pipes when they get clogged with dirt and other material that may leak. So that's not a function of needing a new unit. That's just a function of routine maintenance.
My question was, has that been corrected now or not?
The unit in question that you're referencing? Yes.
Initially it was asking what it was, but then, yeah. So you're saying those 2 or 3 have been corrected?
Yes. Yeah, I'm telling you those have been corrected, but I'm not telling you that when you have a school with lots of air conditioning, and obviously you have to constantly maintain them, sometimes you have those issues occur.
Well, the school really could be a lot cleaner than what it is. It's really bad. It was the one area of the school that looked good that we saw. I'm sure we didn't see the whole school, some of the rooms, classrooms, and our offices, but was where they cooked the food for their lunch was very clean. But the rest of it really needs some good cleaning.
And so I'll tell you, Ms. Hunt, I think it's important to note that if you go into a school facility, say, and I'm not sure exactly what date you were there, but just say you go in June or July, sometime during the summer, they're in the midst of cleaning for the next school year. And so they're generally desks and tables and things all over the place. I mean, that's not the appropriate time to evaluate the cleanliness of a school, because they're in the process of getting ready for the upcoming year. They are waxing all of the floors, cleaning all of the walls. I can assure you the building looked much different by the time we get to Tuesday than it did July the 5th, because they're in the process of cleaning those facilities during the summer.
It looked like the floors were waxed in most of the areas, but they were waxed on top of dirt, so it needs to be cleaned all the way down to begin with, and then start again at some point, some deep cleaning. If you really look at it.
Yeah, and so the question I would ask is, how would you know whether the floor was due to be waxed or rather it already been waxed?
But we were told it was, and it did look shiny on top, but if you look around the corners, it looked bad. And these are things, again, like you're saying about the field house, that, these kids going to school, something to be proud of, and take care of it naturally, and we need to maintain it.
So let me say this for the record. Our custodial staff does a wonderful job. I get the opportunity to visit schools all over this county, and I have been absolutely impressed with the job they do maintaining our facility. I have been in schools and the floors look like glass. Much better than any floors ever looked in my house, I can show you that. And so can we do a better job? Absolutely. I don't care if you can eat off the floor. Someone can make the argument that you can do a better job cleaning the floors. And so I don't want us to leave here painting a picture that our custodial staff around the district is not doing an adequate job, because that's not the reality. If you, as I said, if you go into a school during the summer, they're in the midst of cleaning for the next school year. Therefore, you can't evaluate what kind of job the custodial staff is doing. They are preparing to be ready for the start of school. I can show you, if I went to Fairfield Middle School 3 weeks ago, it's gonna look a lot different than it's gonna look next week. If I go to the middle school a month ago, it's gonna look a lot different than it is next week. So they're in the midst of getting ready for the next school year, which is a routine that happens every year.
Again, but, you know, we need, just put it on the record, basically, we do need to be maintaining our buildings. And the ones that I have seen, there are several schools I can name that I've been in that looks great, you know, to compare it to that high school, did not. So, thank you.
Let me just say this right here. Because,
Gotcha.
And I hope,
Please.
let me turn it on, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I think during that time, we had just had Sakahatchee. You know, we had a bunch of children over there, and it was a mess, because they're sleeping. They're staying there a week. They're sleeping over. They got all these mats, and it was crazy. And and right after that, you know, I went over there too, but I understood that Sakahatchee was just leaving. They had to, you know, they had to move all the tables. You know, there was people actually staying there because they're helping our county out. And so I think that was more or less, when you came in and you seen they were just trying to get back, because they can't clean when you got all those folks there. You see what I'm saying? And we were feeding them too, because all the churches come in and feed the young folks, and they actually pay to come to help our folks in this county. And so it's I think that when you came over, I think I think it might have been a week right after he left that what you might have been looking at. Somebody should have told you know, because I went over there and I looked and I understood.
My understanding, we had the impression of a certain area where they were staying, the group that you're talking about.
They stayed all over.
Well, that particular area that we were, you know, under the impression of, that looked like they really cleaned that area. That area looked good. Anyway, thank you.
That's all I have.
Right, we have nothing under curriculum and instruction, that's correct, and operations and finance.
Good evening. Under the operations and finance, the first item is the July 2017 finance report for your review. The second item under operations and finance is the donation of surplus items. The superintendent recommends the approval of the donation of remaining surplus items to churches and agencies in Fairfield County, and these items are coming from the old Learning Center.
That's an action item.
That's actually,
Please use your mics.
I need to have, again, Madam Chair. may I-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, don't you have to put on the paper? Make a motion?
You're absolutely right.
I thought you were going to
Well,
make that
that's
motion.
yours.
I was waiting on it.
Let me put my glasses
It's
on.
more
Madam
like a
Chair.
question to me.
I didn't hear a
Madam
question.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the superintendent recommendation to approve donation of the remaining surplus items to churches and agencies in Fairfield County. Right, I get second.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Pastor Jackson, there's been a motion and a second, so we can now discuss that.
Madam Chair. Thank you. I just want to, I think it's a good thing, so we're gonna, what, we're gonna send letters out, or how is this gonna be done?
Yeah, so,
Advertise it?
yeah. And so, Mr. Miller, members of the board, we have had two surplus item sales this summer, went pretty well. Even with those sales, we have lots of items that went unsold. That we'll be advertising those sales, to just send information out to local churches and businesses and put out flyers. We'll do the same thing. We'll send those flyers to local agencies and churches and ask them to come and take a look at those items that are remaining to see if there's any interest. And so our hope is that maybe they can utilize some of this equipment that the district has remaining.
Madam Chair, if somebody sends in a request.
She can't hear you.
Like me?
I had it on me, I had it on. See how it's not working, is
You have the president,
it? Huh?
you have the mic president on the,
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, screen.
Okay.
Talking to the mic.
I need to see her.
Well, go ahead.
Anyway, if some people send a request in, trying to speak a little louder, for this, you know, is it gonna come back to the board after to let us know who's asking for the surplus?
No, ma'am. And so our plan, Ms. Hartman, is if we send out some information, and let's say it goes to your church, and your church comes to the surplus, I don't call it a sale, but it comes down and says that we are interested in these 4 desks, student desks, because we want to do an after-school program at that church, then we are just going to donate those 4 desks to the church.
So what happens if you have more than, how do you make a decision between, if you have 3 times the amount of what we have that want it?
First come, first served. So whoever comes and says, we want these items, if the items are still available, we'll give you those items. So first come, first served.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Superintendent's recommendation is that the board approve the donation of the remaining surplus items to churches and agencies in Fairfield County, those items from the old learning center. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposition and abstention. Thank you. Human Resources.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For your approval this evening are certified recommendations where the superintendent recommends the board approve certified professional educators for academic year 2017-18.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the board for certified professional educators for academic year 2017-18.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Thank you, Pastor Jackson. The recommendation has been made that the board approve the certified professional educators for academic year 2017-18. Those in favor, please signify by raising the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposition, abstention.
Madam Chair, I voted in favor of that, I had a question.
Okay, 7, sorry.
If memory serves me correctly, because I hadn't had a chance to pull it up yet. We are still doing 50-50 teachers, art and music teachers at the Liston in Kellyville.
Yes.
I thought when I looked at when you gave us the information on the stipends, it was like 6 or 7 stipends for art teachers.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, you might want to look at it, but I thought we was getting away from that, and it's particularly with Kelly Miller, since it's supposed to be the School of the Arts, and we still doing 50-50 art teaching here. There is no way that can be adequate expectations for Kelly Miller if it's supposed to be the School of the Arts, and we still giving them 50% FTE for their programs. Did we even look at trying to make them have a full-time FTE?
Well, so we just added a full-time FTE, they have a full-time dance teacher at Kelly Miller right now. And so if your suggestion is that they would need a full-time dance, a full-time art, a full-time band, once again, Ms. McDaniel, if you just tell me to do it, I'll be happy to make it happen. I'm not sure whether the population would warrant all 3 full-time positions there. But we do have at least 1 full-time art position there, which is a full-time dance. In the event that you had a full-time dance, a full-time art, a full-time band, I'm really not sure that you would have enough demand to really accommodate that many full-time art teachers at a school that size.
Yeah, but if we made the school a real art teacher, like you said, if I'm at the School of the Arts, then other students may want to come out here. Or maybe I'm misinterpreting the definition, but we named the School of the Arts.
Well, and so what I would say, Ms. McDaniel, I think a School of the Arts indicates that they have a very broad range of arts offerings. They are infusing arts into the curriculum. And I think they're doing a tremendous job of even going to the next level in terms of infusing art into the curriculum. And so I don't necessarily see that as being a function of having full-time positions. The question is, do you have the positions available to address the demand that's there? But as I said previously, Ms. McDaniel, all you have to do is give me the word. And,
I've been telling you for 2 years, so you obviously ain't listening to me.
Oh, no, I'll tell you. I'll be happy to do it.
And I thought the last time we talked about it, the board was okay with it. Did I misunderstand staying y'all board members? Were y'all okay with it? Or not okay with it, Judge?
So just to be clear, Ms. McDaniel, are you just advocating just for Kelly Miller that we have a full-time art teacher there? Because if we did a full-time, for example, band, art, dance, Kelly Miller, for example, splits with McCoy Liston. And so would we do the same, since they wouldn't be splitting? Would we have a full-time art, music, would we have full-time position like that at McCoy Liston as well?
Yeah, but McCoy Liston is the School of Technology, so if you have to do a full-time one, then of course. But I would think that we would have technology over there too, so that school could exemplify being a school of technology.
As I said, Ms. McDaniel.
You can take it out of Mr. Miller.
That's it, just give me the word.
So Dr. Green,
Yeah.
you're making a comment that you're saying that there's not enough students that are interested in doing the arts, or having enough students in the school to keep full-time?
No, so it's not a matter of, it's not a matter of whether students are interested, but just in terms of scheduling. I mean, would you have enough students to have a full-time schedule for a full-time dance person, a full-time band person, full-time arts person? That's the question.
So is the PE and dance teacher not the same? You got separate PE and separate dance?
Yes, PE and dance is separate.
What? PE teacher.
Might be the
But
opposite.
the dance teacher PE, so we need PE. Different.
But then they're split, and then we're back to the question.
No, but they be split at the same school, not at 2 different schools.
The PE teacher don't want to teach things, and the dance teacher.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
If you find
You
one,
gonna
then
teach?
you might find one that
I
does,
teach
but
that.
I don't know what you would.
You want to teach PE?
I can teach them how to do some dance.
That's right.
All I'm asking, Dr. Green, is if you would just please, you
think the last time we discussed it, you gave the impression you was gonna try to address it. Then when I saw this, and I was like, dang, here we go again.
Well, Ms. McDaniel, when we get to budgeting season again, I will surely bring this up.
I think you got money now.
I have money now?
Mm-hmm. You looked at the, money going into the fund balance from last year?
We haven't identified that yet, but we will have a surplus. Yeah, we just may have.
Mr. Freak asked that question last time, and it was like,
Well, he said we we're gonna have it till September, so I was gonna give you one more call.
Yeah, we said we anticipate some revenue, yeah.
This is not the time you're gonna be looking for a teacher either.
so you gonna start looking at it, in September?
In September? Yeah, when we get the budgeting season, unless the board direct it, yeah, you know, I advertise whenever you want me to, Ms. McDaniel.
Well, they ain't gonna direct you unless you feel like you can do it.
Yeah. What I would say, Ms. McDaniel, from my professional opinion, I think it would be something best addressed during budgeting season, and we look at potentially for 2018, 2019.
All right, Ms. Brown, we did vote on that, I think it was 7-0. So we'll move forward to the board chair report. The meeting schedule is there. Once again, the meeting next time is at Fairfield Elementary School, September the 19th. And we will not be back at the district auditorium until January 16th with meetings. Along with that, I mentioned last time that I had been in conversation with Dr. Sue Rex in discussion. She is the chair of the Fairfield County Education Foundation, and is really working hard, and her group's working hard, meeting regularly as well as the entire group, as well as the executive committee, in pursuing the teacher housing initiative. So she has asked that she is to be on the agenda for the September meeting. I mentioned that. Speaking with her more recently last week, she also mentioned by then they will have their, well, they do already have a post office box, but they'll have their brochures and a lot of the information that they will be able to present to the public. They will bring it here first for the board to see. But along with that, just to let you know what will be one of the items that will be up for an action, as well as obviously discussion next time, will be the donation, or request for donation of about 25 acres of land to the Fairfield Education Foundation. That land has been, I think we just did discuss this last time, that land has been, the land behind the district office here has been identified as the most level property, so therefore advantageous to the tune of probably about $500,000 not to have to move a lot of dirt around. The committee has some draft drawings of the housing, as well as the placement, and there would be a tree break and all, a tree barrier and all. It's not like it would be back here at the parking lot. So as far as I know, I think that within some latitude, I think there is about 90 acres around. So they're going to request the donation from the Fairfield County School District Board to the Fairfield Education Foundation of around 25 acres. They're right now waiting on their 501c3 approval. They've received confirmation that all the paperwork's in, but it's just the time for paperwork. This has to be, you have to wait for everybody to sort everything through. So that will happen. She'll be available for, some discussion at that point. And so we'll, just to let you know what is coming, so you're not blindsided on that Friday before the meeting with, whoa, what does she want us to donate land for, that sort of thing. I'll be happy to answer any questions. They're very, right now, just, in draft form, very, it would be very surface, but I'll be happy to entertain anything that, if anyone has any questions of me. I told you about everything I know, but I'll try if there is anything else. You have anything to add to that?
No.
So, Madam Chair, how many acres of land is the Career Center on?
It's it's about, the building is about 60,000 square feet, Ms. McDaniel, but in terms of how many acres of land is on, I would probably guess off the top of my head.
I was gonna say 4 or 5, but that's probably not even right.
I guess the point I'm trying to make, or where I'm going is, I don't recall that site being an option when we built a career center, but it's an option now to build housing.
And so that's a very good question. So when you're talking about doing patio homes, and an option you can build on any site, okay? And so the question is, what is an optimal site to build on? How much work do you need to prepare the site? You know, as I have been explaining with my limited construction knowledge, Ms. McGann, when you're building a building at Career Center, you need a huge flat pad, as opposed to doing patio homes where you can have, even though Ms. Reed said that is the most level site, it doesn't need to be completely level. It can be at different elevations. And so you could have one patio home at one elevation, the next patio home at a slightly lower elevation, the next one at a slightly higher elevation. It is different than if you were trying to build a career center where you needed a huge flat pad. So, some of the infrastructure needs are a little different with patio homes and career center.
All right, Mike, just want to have that question in mind because it may come up, because I get a lot of comments about us squeezing the career center down to the spot where we squares it at. So, my other statement, and it's a joke, but I'm saying it anyway, you can see it at land, get a teacher over there that kept little teach art.
I remember that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in the same sense, did you say that's the one, part of the flattest section of the 90 acres, isn't that what you said also?
Well, I said flattish, maybe I should have said that would be the most desirable spot for construction of patio homes, as opposed, that would be the area that has been identified where there would be the least amount of dirt that had to be moved in order for it to be an effective building site.
And Madam Chair, let me comment on this. And so, we were fortunate that we had some engineers who designed, who did us a preliminary design pro bono, all right? And so they came out and they evaluated the site. They have technology where they can go and look at these satellites and talk about what is the optimal place to locate a facility. They look at lots of things in terms of where sewer is located. They look at the best place to access water. I mean, there are lots of things that they look at. So I don't want to boil it down to just what is the flattest piece of land. This is based on their expertise, okay? And so they evaluate the whole 98 acres and they say, well, based on our expertise, this is where we would recommend that you would locate the houses. So, that's based on the expertise of these engineers and people who do that for a living. But they could, quite honestly, put it anywhere. They're just telling you, we think this is the most, economical place to locate it.
Okay, so what you're saying is the most economical, but then you're also saying for us to give it to y'all and therefore the best spot, that if we wanted to build something for the students, we won't have anymore.
Well, first of all, I don't see it as a y'all, you versus us. I think we're all in it together, but it would be a donation of about 25 acres to the Fairfield County Education Foundation. And I think that would, our pursuit in this initiative is that it become, absolutely the best thing for our district to attract and keep good teachers, which ultimately is what we want for our students. So we're all in it together.
I think again, on the record, that the county needs to bring in more activities to be able to keep the teachers. They're not going to stay if they don't have things to do. We keep losing companies, which everybody knows, and so that's where the county needs to begin. And to take, I want to put this all on the record that to take it away from the kids, the best areas out of this 90 acres. I don't agree with that, but anyway, thank you.
And I'm sure we'll have more discussion next time. That I was presenting this for information so that you would be ready for that discussion. We'll move on to the next resolution, which is the approval of the donation of property, the 1 acre to the town of Ridgeway, which we have already voted on. It becomes a more complicated process after 1952. It became a more complicated process, so attorneys had to get involved, and then there's a resolution that has to be approved, adopted, in order for this to move. We've already done this and had this discussion. So this is the resolution. You know, we don't have to go over it again. It's just to let you know we will be. I don't think we have to sign it. I mean, I think we have to sign it. We don't have to approve it again. We've already approved the donation of the property. Am I correct with that verbiage?
I think we wrote
Madam
We do
Chair.
have to approve the resolution, not the donation.
Yeah.
Right.
Madam Chair, but didn't we also state in that to give them, but to come back to us, and I did not see that in this, that it would come back to us if it ceased to exist, if the tank on it anymore.
Pardon?
It was stated that it would come back by Mr. McDaniel, that it would revert back to the school district if it no longer had the water tank on it, in use. And I didn't see that in this
Okay, and so,
document.
okay, and so, Ms. Hartman, this resolution is something that we are preparing to present to the State Board of Education. And so there is some legislation, obviously, that says that if land was purchased with state funds after 1952, that the State Board of Education has to approve the donation of that land. And so this is something we are preparing to be approved by the State Board of Education. If we want to create any other agreements between us and the town of Ridgeway, we are more than welcome to do that. And so I don't want you to see this as kind of the final documentation here. This is something that we need to send to the State Board of Education in terms of giving us approval to donate the land. If we want to put some kind of arrangement in place that says, if you remove the name off the water tower, the land reverts back to us, that's something that we need to do with the town of Ridgeway. State Board is really not concerned with that. They're just talking about the process, giving us approval to donate the land.
I don't know if I quite got that explanation, Dr. Reed. I would think that unless the board changed their mind,
Point
if
of information on that.
Why can't it be put in there?
I think that'd be in the deed, not this resolution. I think that'd be taken care of in the deed, so it'd be recorded at the clerk of court.
Would it be something against putting it in the resolution though?
I just don't think it's, I mean,
It's not necessary.
the deed will take care of that if that's where it's put.
yeah, but the resolution should state the full intentions of the board, unless the board changed their mind about the land resorting back to the school district if it ceased to be used for the purpose that it's being donated for. Which I have no problems either way, but if that was part of the original motion, it really should have been in the resolution.
I guess, Madam Chair, whether it's in the resolution or the deed, what the Brick talking about, I'm one that, want to send a message to, in the deed, want to send a message to the town of Ridgeway, because I know they voted on it, that they would, but still, I want something to hold them, binding that if they don't use the name of getting on that water tower, then they won't get the land. That's my perspective. So I'm not so worried about this, because this is going to get approved. But the deeds, they would never get that unless they would have something like that in my people. And as you say, revert back to the district. And I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, but I think I'm talking about two different things. So if I'm not mistaken, she's talking about the land itself, and you talk about the name. I don't think the name would necessarily be in the deed. But it needs to be somewhere. I agree.
It
To me,
should,
it should
that's
be
my
on
opinion.
this and the deed,
It
to
should
make
be.
sure it's stated, simple as that.
Well,
I don't see why it hurt.
But the resolution is for the
Right.
State Board of Education, just requires that after like 1952, they required that any land that has been acquired by, say, a school district just have to have the resolution. That's
Well, I
all this
understand that,
is.
but is there any reason why you can't add that to it?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Okay?
I would submit it actually is in there, because it says to construct and maintain a water tower. If they did not maintain the water tower, then I believe that would take care of what your issue is. I mean, it specifically says construct and maintain.
And maintaining more, keeping it up, not necessarily.
Maintain a water tower.
But it doesn't say.
Well, have this already gone to the
What
State
happens
Department or
to
something, because I don't understand why if
No,
it's just a matter of changing the word, and, it doesn't hurt anything.
Madam Chair, obviously the attorneys who drafted the resolution,
But they probably wasn't aware, if y'all didn't tell them that that was in the original motion.
It was, the motion was
Motion
made.
already made.
Ms. Angela?
Huh?
I make a motion that we amend this resolution to include that this property will revert back to us if it's no longer used for a water tower. Back to the district, back to the school district. When I said us, I meant school district.
Where would that be located in this resolution? Where would that be located in the resolution?
I guess that's what you're asking.
I think, I don't do resolutions, but I think any be it resolved point can be added to state that the property would resort back to the school district if it's ceased to be used for the intended purpose, and the water tower would carry the name of the either. And just conditional, insert.
And so, Madam Chair, just to be clear about what, so is we considering asking the attorney to, obviously we don't have the expertise to put something in the resolution. So, are we talking about sending this back to the attorneys, telling the
Now,
attorney?
people type resolutions all the time. Cheryl Brown used to do resolutions all the time over at the county. You don't need an attorney to draft a resolution.
Well, yeah, when you start talking about donate land, I wouldn't want
To be approved by the
by the state board.
state
I would
board,
just
I,
say
yeah,
the state
I agree.
board. But I guess my question is, and that's fine, Ms. McDaniel, if, I just want to be clear that we're talking about making a recommended change to the resolution, sending it back to the attorneys, and then having it come back to the board in September.
I don't think it can come at it.
So voting on the resolution with the change, is that what?
So that's what, is that what we're saying, Madam Chair,
That's
that
what
we
I'm
will,
trying to figure out.
we're voting on the resolution with change of saying that it's gonna resort back to school district, and if, I guess,
With the
It's not
insertion
becoming
of
a
a
war
clause that
tower,
said it would
maybe
result to the school
we made it
district.
complicated.
To have a water tower.
Yeah.
Is that it? That's what we're saying?
And my, and I've made a mistake because I allowed this discussion without the motion. We don't have a motion on the floor. My misunderstanding there. So I have made that mistake and I'll own it.
Well, I need a
So,
motion, but
well,
nobody
let me
seconded it.
finish, please. I've made that mistake. We've had the discussion, so now, do we need to go into a motion if that's what, the next, because when the motion is made and there is a second, which there has not been, then that's going to happen, then let's go forward there instead of discussing it further. So the motion can be made that we approve the resolution as it is presented, or if someone makes a motion otherwise, then we can have that, continue that discussion.
I make a motion that this amendment be changed and added to it that the property will revert back to the town, to Fairfield County School District if the tank ceases to exist.
Can I clean that up first?
This, are you at a point you made the motion? I mean, we're still at a motion stage. We've got to get the motion clear.
Okay.
We're going to, so one of you needs to make the motion and hope there's a second.
Okay, Madam Chair, I move that we accept the, resolution that's been presented by the superintendent with the added language that if the, property ceased to be used for the reason so stated, that it will resort back to the school district and that the water tank will carry the name of Giga.
I second that.
For clarification, let me repeat it.
Somebody else has-
Okay, it sounds to me that the motion is, and stop me if I'm incorrect along the way, it sounds to me that the motion is that the resolution will be approved, accepting of the resolution, approving the recommendation to approve the resolution with the added verbiage of the property reverting to the school district, upon which time the town of Ridgeway no longer use it as water tower and carry the name of Geeker Elementary. There was a motion and a second. Now is there discussion?
Madam Chair, I had one other question on that lane. I hadn't seen it. Is there any timber on it?
There's some trees on this.
Do we know the value of it?
Is there enough to cut?
1 acre. 1 acre.
I ain't trying to get the money, but y'all can.
We're voting to give it away.
Huh?
We're voting to give it away. This is the resolution.
We've already donated the property.
So, Madam Chair, just because, so Ms. McDaniel's motion is the property will return to the school district if it ceases to be used for the purpose of development. In addition, if Giga Elementary School is not on the water tower, it returns to the district.
Ms. McDaniel, clarify that.
That's the way I heard it.
Say it.
Ms. McDaniel, there were two parts to that resolution. One, that if it ceased to be, the water tower ceased to be used, maintained by the town of Ridgeway, and the other being that would name Giger Elementary. So if they went over there and painted over it, then you're done, you're saying that's not it, it reverts at that moment.
I think if we put in here, if we said it in the original motion, that it had.
Yeah, just clarifying, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm clarifying.
Well, not necessarily Giga Elementary School, but I think just Giga. But when they put elementary school, it doesn't
At
matter.
least have you.
I don't think that's, we need to get quite into the exact.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying, yeah. I mean, no, we don't need to.
So if the Giger is not on the water tower. Does anyone need that, motion repeated?
The board clerk.
Ms. Ron,
He's over there writing it down.
There's been the motion and a second, and there has been more than appropriate discussion, I feel. So those in favor of the resolution being approved with the amendments and verbiage from that the land is donated, will be reverted to the Fairfield County School District if it is no longer used by the town of Ridgeway, or the name Giger in some form is not on that water tower. Those in favor?
Oh, and also the water tower ceases to exist.
Well, if it's not used, then it's not being used. Let's move ahead. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. We've got 7. Thank you.
Beat that horse.
We did. That horse is dead. The board travel, the law conference is this weekend. There's going to be lots and lots of traffic with the eclipse, so be very careful. And at that point, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's your one quick question?
I'll withdraw my motion. It's a quick question. It's not quick. I'm going to revert to my motion.
Okay. Ms. McDaniel, there is a tour of the middle school addition after this, as well as field house and areas over there. So we're heading in that direction.
Madam Chair,
Sorry.
I'm assuming that, we were told that the meetings are recorded on some television station or not?
YouTube.
YouTube, so how would they watch that from YouTube? On the computer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I know what
There
you're
was
saying.
a,
I'm sorry, okay.
there was a motion to adjourn, Mr. Frick. I did not hear a second.
She took my question. No, I was just gonna, we can talk while we walk, but, I would.
Is there a second that we adjourn? Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand.
I wrote to the
Thank you.
So I told you about high school already.
Yeah, I know, something happened.
He said because